The more you think, the more you feel isolated. But why? Have you ever felt like the more you understand the world, the more detached you become from it? As if each layer of insight pulls you one step further from belonging? You're not alone, and perhaps you're not wrong either. The German philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone." It might sound harsh, even cold, but Schopenhauer wasn't trying to depress you. He was pointing at a deeper truth. The mind, when it awakens, begins to see the illusions that most people live by. And once you see them, you can't unsee them. The question is this loneliness a curse or a passage? In this video, we'll explore why many intelligent, sensitive, and self-aware people often feel so alone, not just socially, but existentially. We'll walk through 3 key ideas: why the act of thinking deeply can lead to isolation, through Schopenhauer's radical view of human suffering; how modern psychology supports the idea that depth often creates distance, and why being mentally awake can make social life feel artificial; and finally, how to transform this loneliness into a deeper connection with yourself, not as an escape, but as a path to inner freedom. This isn't just a philosophy lesson, it's an invitation to look at your own solitude with new eyes. Maybe it's not emptiness. Maybe it's space being cleared for something real to emerge. Arthur Schopenhauer didn't believe in fairy tales. To him, life wasn't a gift, it was a struggle, a relentless cycle of desire, frustration, and fleeting satisfaction. He called this force the will, a blind, irrational drive that lives in every living being. It pushes us to want, to crave, to chase, but it never lets us rest. Now, here's the catch. The more conscious you become, the more you suffer. Why? Because awareness makes you see the absurdity of the cycle. You begin to notice how much of life is ruled by instinct, ego, repetition. And that realization doesn't make you feel superior. It makes you feel alone. The ordinary man places his life's happiness in things external to him. The wise man finds it in himself. Schopenhauer. Most people, Schopenhauer argued, escape through distraction, pleasure, routine, small talk. But the thinker, the observer, the one who feels too much and sees too deeply, can't go back to sleep. They see the masks. They hear the silence behind the noise, and they feel out of place. Have you ever been in a room full of people, yet felt like you were watching life through a glass wall? That's what Schopenhauer meant. The curse of clarity is isolation. But is that all there is? Or could this very distance, this uncomfortable separation, be the first sign of a deeper connection trying to be born? Modern psychology has caught up with something Schopenhauer intuited long ago. Highly intelligent and introspective people often feel alienated, not because they're antisocial, but because they crave depth, and the world often feels shallow. A study from the British Journal of Psychology found that people with higher intelligence reported lower life satisfaction when engaging in frequent social interaction. Why? Because they're not looking for more conversations, they're looking for more meaning. And when you look for meaning in a society obsessed with speed, noise, and image, you end up disappointed. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychologist, called this tension the persona conflict. We all wear masks, roles we play to fit in, but the more self-aware we become, the more we feel the weight of those masks. They don't feel real anymore. They itch. They suffocate. The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. Jung. The deeper you go into yourself, the less you recognize the world around you. You begin to outgrow old conversations. You feel disconnected from surface-level chatter. You wonder, is something wrong with me or with the world? Have you ever felt like you're speaking a different language, even when you're saying all the right words? This is the exile of the awakened mind. It's not snobbery, it's the pain of seeing clearly in a world that prefers to stay blurry. But here's the question. Can this loneliness be transformed? Could it be a signal not of failure, but of inner evolution? What if your loneliness isn't a flaw, but a calling? Schopenhauer believed that solitude wasn't just inevitable for the deep thinker, it was necessary. He saw it as the only space where a person could truly be free. Free from noise, free from masks, free from the endless desires of others. A man can be himself only so long as he is alone. Schopenhauer. But how do we live this truth without becoming bitter or numb? Carl Jung offers a path. Individuation, the lifelong process of becoming whole. To do this, we must go inward, face the parts of ourselves we've hidden, embrace the shadow. This can't be done in a crowd. It happens in silence, in stillness, in solitude. But there's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is the ache of being disconnected. Solitude is the art of being fully connected to yourself. And in that quiet space, something strange happens. You start to hear your own voice again, not the voice shaped by society, by fear, by pressure. Your true voice. Nietzsche once said, "He who climbs upon the highest mountains laughs at all tragedies, real or imaginary." The mountain is solitude. The view is clarity. So here's the invitation. Instead of filling the silence, listen to it. Instead of running from your isolation, sit with it. What if this aloneness is not your weakness, but your becoming? Keep a journal. Go for walks without your phone. Read things that make your soul stretch. Talk less. Feel more, because maybe the deeper your solitude, the closer you are, not to losing yourself, but to finally meeting yourself. If you've ever felt like your mind is both your gift and your prison, if you've ever walked through a crowd and felt like a ghost, if your thoughts dive deeper than most conversations allow, this video was made for you. You are not broken. You are awakening. Yes, the path of the deep thinker, the sensitive soul, the silent observer, is often lonely. But that loneliness, it's not a dead end. It's the beginning of inner freedom. Let's remember what we uncovered. Schopenhauer showed us that the more conscious we become, the more we feel the weight of the world's illusions and the need to retreat. Psychology revealed that intelligence and sensitivity often make shallow socializing feel painful, not because we're arrogant, but because we crave something real. And solitude, true solitude, isn't about isolation. It's about integration, becoming whole. You are not alone in feeling alone. You are simply standing at the edge of who you were and who you are becoming. So here's your permission. Withdraw when you need to. Question everything. Let silence shape you, because maybe, just maybe, your solitude is not your exile. It's your sacred ground. And one day, from that silence, you'll return. Not emptier, but fuller. Not bitter, but clearer. Not lost, but finally, home. If this video resonated with you, share it with someone else who thinks too much and feels even more. Let's remind each other, this path may be lonely, but it's also where the soul begins to speak.